Cars in general nowadays are controlled by sophisticated software, ranging from cruise control to your lane detection, all of those stuff, they're all controlled by software. And a lot of things are also automated for us. For example, the automatically engaging your handbrake feature when you enter parking mode and whatnot, those are all controlled by the software. A lot of other videos on YouTube have been talking about how it actually feels when you're driving, how fast it is, how steady it is, all of those stuff. I thought, hey, focusing on the software will be a particularly interesting thing because when we sit in the car, we engage with the software throughout the entire driving session, right? So yeah, let's just go through with it. So there are a total of 2 versions of the BYD Dolphin. You can get it in the standard range model or the premium extended range model. The one we have here is the premium extended range, and it does have a few more features, for example, the sunroof and also the Qi wireless charging pad that is found on the storage area that we'll go through later. I'll just show you the list of differences on the screen here so you can have a look for yourself. You can pause if you want to. So once we sit inside the car, the interior is going to catch a lot of people's attention. So the name Dolphin here is obviously going to inspire the interior design as well. And as we can see here, a lot of stuff here are inspired by marine life and whatnot. So let's talk about the driver's seat first. So the control panel here has a lot of different controls. So we can adjust the side mirror through here. And then this top button here is to fold the side mirrors, which is real handy to have, just a single button there. Then lock or unlocking your doors are also through this button right here. And same goes to the child lock for the window control as well. So once we turn on the car by pushing on this nicely hidden push start button, the car plays a chime and everything lights up. So when we turn on the screen, we have a total of 3 big buttons here to press. So the first one is obviously gonna be navigation. It's pretty simple, but I will censor whatever is showing here because it is where I live and I don't want to dox myself. And we do have a few buttons on this side here. So number 1 is to search for whatever address that you want to go to. And there are a few different shortcuts. For example, you want to find your favorite locations that you have bookmarked, EV chargers that are near you, parking, food, coffee, ATM, transit, lodging, all of those stuff, they are all here. I would say the EV charger button is gonna be not necessary here because if we go back to the main menu, there's another button here that directly finds all of the nearby EV chargers around you. So I don't know why they have another button there, but there we go. And then if we press on these 3 dots here, we can expand to more options. So this button here is actually to calculate how far I can go with whatever battery that I have left. So for example, it shows me on this tiny display here that I have 277 kilometers of range left. And here it will show me where I can go with that 277 kilometers of range, which is pretty far, all things considered. And then if we press back here again, we can go into settings. So yeah, I do realize that this traffic feature here is not really working well in Malaysia. One correction here, the traffic data does work, but you will have to connect the car to the internet via either the SIM card or just via Wi-Fi from your phone. So this does work, and when you turn into some roads, then it will tell you congestion ahead and whatnot, and it actually does show you the traffic condition on that particular road itself via different shades of colors. So yes, it does work, and here's a picture to show you that it is actually working. Charging preferences, we can look for charging speed and also connector types. As we can see, there are a lot of different types that we can look for. And then charging speed, of course, we can also select whatever charging speed that we want. So we can go for super fast, fast, semi-fast, or just normal charging speeds. And then we also have the map preferences and all of these things. These are all pretty advanced, all things considered, and I will show you some footages of me using this map while I was driving, and I have to say, this map navigation is actually very good. It does a very good job of getting me to my destination, and it also shows me if I should turn up to the bridge, the slope or whatnot, and it just works really well. In a way, it is even better than Google Maps, I would say. And let's move on to the next app here, which is Spotify. So Spotify is a bit weird. So I have parked the car at home now and it is connected to my Wi-Fi, so I should be able to browse my Spotify. Oh, unfortunately not. So yeah, as you can see there, it is not working. And that is because if I want to use Spotify, I will need mobile data, which is quite unfortunate since this unit of the BYD Dolphin that I have here does have a SIM card inside the car, but the data is not working. So unfortunately, I will have to use my phone's wireless internet hotspot to this car, and then I can use Spotify, the official Spotify app. Yeah, there's that. I mean, this app is very similar to their Spotify's TV app. So in terms of navigation and whatnot, yeah, it is familiar to me. And then lastly, we have radio. So this is very basic. We can actually select FM or AM radio, music played by a local source, Bluetooth, SD card, or even a USB stick. And then lastly, we also can watch videos on this thing. And we also have audio settings right here, which we'll go through later. Then we can also select the fan speeds. So we can go to a maximum of fan speed 7. As you can hear here, the fan speed is gonna be really loud. So I'll just decrease it back to number 1. And then we can also select the air coming from outside or just circulate whatever's inside. It is starting to rain now, so you might have some rain ASMR. And then this is the climate control. We will also go through that a bit later. Then here, this button is to select where the air is coming from. It's just a single tap to toggle between all of those settings. Lastly, this one is temperature control. So we can select whatever temperature that we want. I find myself be more comfortable at 23 degrees Celsius. So yeah, you can just select whatever you want. If you're gonna go below 18 degrees Celsius, then we just go low. So for example, now I select number 20 and the fan, I lock it to number 1. Do remember this, because if I use these dials, all of the dials here, if I just push it to auto, it will automatically readjust the fan speed to make the car go down to 20 degrees Celsius. And then once it is at 20 degrees Celsius, this fan speed will also change to, let's just say number 2 or number 1, just to maintain that temperature. So that is a very nice feature to have, I would say. It's kind of like a hybrid between auto and manual air conditioner settings, which is really good. I do prefer physical settings when it comes to air conditioners. So I'm glad that BYD is not taking all control away from the driver, which is good. And then let's go back to this menu here. So climate control is a very funny thing, and there are a lot of settings in this car as well. So this one is to select the fan speed. Like what I said earlier, you have number 1 until number 7. And then this is the temperature control, as what we have said earlier as well. Again, 23 degrees Celsius is what I prefer. We can select fan only. This is the defroster. This is the defroster for the windshield only. Yeah, and then there's also an aircon button here, which is going to the absolute maximum. Again, I don't want it to be at the absolute maximum, so I'll just leave it be like that. And then this is AC, turn on or on, and then this is the auto button, which is the same one as these dials here at the bottom, which we will show you. And then seat ventilation. Okay, this is something unique, I would say. So as you can see here, we can select the fan on the driver's side or the passenger side. So if I select it to number 1, then it will actually cool my butt and also my back. And yeah, you can actually feel it cooling your butt and your back. During a very hot and sunny day, this car will be cooking inside. And when you enter the car, you might be sweating and whatnot. So turning on this feature is really nice, because I find myself, my back is always sweaty. So this feature is nice to have. And yeah, we'll go back to this later because this is all within the vehicle settings. And then in this menu, we can swipe here to review all of the apps that we have installed in the car's infotainment system. So for example, we have the phone BYD Assistant. This one, music, is very important. We will also go through it later. Yeah, we have all of these apps installed. So We will not talk about it here first. We will go to this button here, which is the settings menu. We'll start with the system settings. So cellular data, as what I mentioned earlier, we can put in a SIM card. As far as I remember, it is located beside the glove box compartment. You have to pry off that piece of plastic to access the SIM card slot, which I will not do in this video. Then we can also turn on Wi-Fi, which is to connect to our own Wi-Fi network. And that is how I actually use the Spotify through my phone's hotspot. And then we can also use personal hotspot. So this car will be the wireless hotspot for your other devices. For example, you can connect your phone to the car to get your internet access and whatnot, Bluetooth and connected devices. Then we'll go to audio. So this audio is a bit funky, I would say. We have hi-fi, live stage or off for the direct live setting. I find myself using live stage because it sounds the best. Loudness is to equalize all of your volume of whatever you're playing to a more, some songs will have super loud audio volumes. So this loudness is to actually normalize all of that so you don't get any surprises. Equalizer is, of course, you get all of these. You can tune whatever you want. Now, while we are on the topic of audio, this car does come with a total of 6 different speakers, and the sound quality isn't particularly the best, I would say. It does sound kind of weird, like it's more focusing towards the lower frequency range. It's a lot more bassy, but it's not as thumpy as some other bass hits will like it. And the treble is definitely lacking because I do listen to a lot of big band jazz and whatnot, so I know how those sound should be. And yeah, I just think that the speaker quality is not particularly the best. So I will do a sound test for you guys. The first one is with whatever settings I'm using right now. And the second setting is with everything at default, equalizer all at default, and at hi-fi room. And then we also have the sound field setting menu here as well, so we can actually change whatever position the sound is focused on, but I will just leave it at default because it is at the dead center of the car. Then media volume, I just muted it to film this video. Phone volume, voice volume, guidance volume, all of that can be set here. Display, okay. So we can set the brightness display, which is pretty self-explanatory. Screensaver, we can screen off this and that. So what happens is that when I press this button, it will technically go into power off mode. This is technically the screensaver, it's not actually a power off mode. And then multimedia brightness linkage. So this is to link the brightness between this and that tiny display on the driver's side, the dashboard, I would say. So I would just, make it link, that's it. Then we can also select light theme, dark theme or auto. I would just leave it all in dark theme because I like that a lot more. Vehicle and dashboard brightness regulation. I'm not sure what this regulation means. I think it is to respond to the ambient light. And the response time of the ambient light sensor is quite slow. So for example, if I go through some shade, maybe I pass through under a tree, and then the brightness will go down to match the lower brightness of me being under a tree. But once I go beyond that shadow, it just takes a very long time for this screen to go back to its full brightness like what we have right now, which I think is quite a problem. I just wish it to be responding a lot more faster because that would be better. And then we also have the software button here. We can check the vehicle's software version, the software detail. We can also factory reset the entire infotainment system and all of the settings that we have, or just reset all of the settings back to default without actually factory resetting the entire thing and deleting all of our data. Apps. So this is where things get a little bit funny. You technically have access to all of the apps, and if you're familiar with Android, yeah, this entire infotainment system is built upon Android. This is very similar to a smartphone or a tablet, so I'll skip that. So if we go to more, we can set the time and date, time format, language, all of this stuff. We can even change it between SI unit or imperial unit. Whatever you want to use, you can do that all right here. And that's all in terms of the system settings. And then in here, we also have the intelligent cruise control. We can enable or disable it. It is technically very useful, so it can detect whatever car is in front of you or behind you, and then it will ask you to brake or brake for you, so you don't crash into the car in front of you. Driving assist, lane support system is to make sure that you keep into your lane whenever you're driving and you don't swerve to another lane. And you can enable or disable this, or you can even just make it just warn you but not actually take control away from you. When I try to swerve off the lane a little bit, it will automatically snap me back. It's kind of aggressive. It does kind of feel like, you know, those sim driver where you have a direct drive steering wheel. We do have a video about that at the top right corner there. I don't think comparing it with a sim racer is proper, but that's the best example I have. So whenever you get into a car crash in that car sim game, the direct drive steering wheel will, you know, it will shake a lot. It will automatically turn itself with a lot of force. And that is exactly what I feel when the lane snapping happens on the BYD Dolphin. I do think that it is a very good feature because it forces everyone to actually use their signal before they make a turn on the road. As for traffic sign recognition, yes, it will actually recognize all of the signboards around you to tell you the speed limit of that particular road, which is really smart of it to do so automatically. I just find it to be a bit annoying because some of the roads do not have this kind of speed limit signboards, and then it will default to a very, very low speed limit, and it will constantly complain that you are over the speed limit. So personally speaking, I would turn this thing off entirely. And then we also have high beam assist, so if it's too dark, then we automatically turn on the high beam, which is okay. Active safety, collision warning, automatic emergency braking, blind spot assist. This is very useful because there are lots of sensors on this car, and it will light up in various different places to tell you that there's a car beside you at your blind spot. So yeah, just be careful. And then we also have ESC off. I don't remember what's the name of this ESC, but either way, I just leave it in default. And then parking assistance. Yes, this is very useful. As you can see here, we can see the entire screen has turned into a reverse camera right now, so I can see whatever's behind me. This one is to show everything around me. Then I can even press on the screen to see what's on that particular side of the car. So we can also tap on this to change the camera view as well, which is really nice. I mean, parking with this car is supremely easy because I have this panoramic view. If I'm reversing, it will show me how far am I from any obstacles or vehicles and whatnot from the back. And it will also show me the distance, the exact distance in centimeters, how far I am from that particular object, which I think is really, really nice. And the camera quality is also fantastic in this case. Of course, parking sensors, I also leave all of those on because they are really good. Then there's new energy. I don't know why they call it new energy, but energy feedback intensity, range display mode. I just leave it all in default because I really don't have enough time to test all of these features. Then charging settings, we can set smart charging, so it will automatically stop charging at a certain time, which is really good. And then anti-port theft lock, which is real useful. So no one can steal your EV's battery when you are away from the car. And then for consumption, I can see the total mileage, the cumulative average electricity usage, my drive time, average drive time, all of those stuff. Consumption graph is to see how I've been using day by day. So if you need all of those data, good. And after we're done with new energy, we also have the vehicle settings. So I don't know why they call it smart chassis, but okay, the steering mode can be changed to between comfort and sport. Same goes to the brake assist mode. I find myself using comfort a lot better because if I'm using it in comfort, then the brake isn't as harsh and I can control it a bit better. The steering mode doesn't seem to do much, I would say, so I just leave it in comfort. The lights, yes, we can adjust the angle, the follow me home headlight, all of those stuff, I just leave it in auto. So there's that. External mirrors, they auto fold when you lock the car doors, which is excellent. As for AC, this is what we were seeing earlier. So yeah, fan speed reduction during phone calls, that is automatic. Automatic air recirculation. So yeah, this is to prevent outside exhaust cars horrendous fumes, I would say, from entering your car. So this is real good as well. And then you can also remotely turn on the car by just holding the remote controls button or using the BYD app, which I will go through that later as well. Auto AC mode, I just leave it in comfort because that's what I like. And then the seat ventilation and whatnot, this is what we went through earlier. Then we also have the door and window. This is all of the settings that you have. I think they are pretty self-explanatory. And notifications, they have a lot of reminders, I would say. So when your car is locked, unlocked, your seatbelt, all of those stuff, you can just not use this if you want to, but I just leave it all turned on. And then vehicle prompt sound noise. So currently it's using the brand sound noise. And if I turn on the signal, you can hear it. Yeah, that is the signal sound. And I can change it to standard as well. So as you can hear, this is the standard signal sound. And engine sound simulator. Yeah, this one I'll leave for future me to talk about it. So anything below 30 kilometers per hour while I'm driving, this car will make a noise for pedestrians around the car to hear it. You know, EVs are very quiet when they are driving on the street, so they will have to make a sound to alert the nearby pedestrians that a car is actually there. However, that sound can be heard by the driver as well. And I find it to be super annoying because while I was stuck in traffic yesterday, because, you know, 5 p.m. rush hour traffic jams, I had to hear that sound constantly, and I just find it to be really, really annoying. So I don't know why the driver needs to listen to this sound. Maybe it's for, you know, a fail-safe, I guess. So if the user can hear it, means the outside people can also hear it. But I just find it to be very annoying. Speed warning is pretty self-explanatory. Media volume decreases while navigating, so whenever the navigation system speaks back to me, then it will automatically decrease the volume of my music. Then vehicle health. Yeah, it will tell me the maintenance interval, maintenance mileage. I can set it to whatever I want. So this is to know when you should service your car. Overhaul, not gonna touch it. Car status, yeah, we can actually press this to check it as well. It just says check complete, status good. I don't actually know what it is checking, but yeah, there we go. And let's head back to this menu here. We can swipe down from this side. We can adjust the volumes quickly, the brightness, and then the instrument brightness, as in this information cluster. Then we can also disable this parking sensor, ventilation, ESC, HMA, which is the high beam assist, energy feedback, and also to open or close the sunshade quickly. So if I press this, oh, I thought it just automatically opened. Yeah. That's something that we can do. And then if we go back to this menu here, we can see shortcuts. So the amount of shortcuts are pretty basic. Anyway, we'll talk about Bluetooth right now. So if we hold this, we can enter Bluetooth pairing mode. So I got my phone here. If we enter Bluetooth pairing mode, we can see it detected my phone. I'm using another phone right now because my main phone is busy doing something else. If I pair it, then this is where things get a little bit funny. So as you can see, it doesn't let me enable audio for the BYD infotainment system. So what I need to do is to hit back here and then scroll here, enter music, tap on Bluetooth, and then it will automatically enable car Bluetooth audio. So now I can finally play music via Bluetooth, which is weird. And you might have realized that there are additional buttons here as well. So these are all standard Android buttons. So back button, this is the home button. This is the multitasking menu. So we can swipe up to close apps just like any other Android phone, or tap on this button to clear everything. And then this one is to rotate the screen. This one is not a pause button, even though it looks like it. This is actually to multitask. But unfortunately, there's only 2 apps allowed to do multitasking right now. Navigation and also Spotify. So yeah, that's all that we can do right now. I really do hope they open up the multitasking view for more apps, but unfortunately, this is what I have right now. And remember, we can technically sideload apps into this car as well. I have Googled some other tutorial that is able to do this as well, so do follow those videos if you want to sideload apps. Unfortunately, the rain is getting a lot heavier, so we're gonna do some rain ASMR and continue on with the video. So at this part here, we have a lot of dials. So this one is actually the gear knob. I really like the positioning of this gear knob because it is very minimalist, and I don't have one big stick around here that does basically the same thing as this little dial here. So I can push up to go reverse, push down a little bit to go into neutral, and then push all the way down to drive. And if I press at the side here, it goes into parking mode. And once it is in parking mode, it will automatically engage the handbrake for me. And whenever I go into reverse or drive mode, then it will automatically disengage the handbrake for me, which is a really nice feature to have. And then here we have one for mode, and it's to change between normal, sports and eco mode. And I just leave it in comfort or eco mode because that's what I like. This one is to turn off traction control, which I really don't want to touch at all. Then this one is to go into the, you can configure how hard the regen brake will take place. You can either set it to standard or high. I just leave it in standard because the braking is really tough enough. This one is for emergency lighting, so that's that. This auto is technically tying into whatever climate we have set into earlier. So like what I mentioned, once we set the temperature to, let's just say 23 degrees Celsius, if I hit the auto, it will automatically change the fan speed for me to get into 23 degrees Celsius before changing it back to something lower for the fan speed. So there's that. And then this one is just to turn on or off the fan, which is pretty simple. This one is for the windscreen defroster. I'm not gonna touch this as well because Malaysian weather is always hot. It basically won't get frosted anyway. Then this one is a physical volume control knob. We can push it up or down to control the volume, and this is nice and tactile, so I like it. We can even press it down to go into sleep mode for the infotainment system as well. So that's nice. And since we're here, let's talk about the steering wheel. There are a lot of buttons here, but let's focus on the right side first. So for this one, it's mostly to control all of your calls and whatnot. So you have the call button. This one is to invoke the voice assistant, the BYD voice assistant that is built into the car. Hi BYD. Too hot.
Got it. Decreasing the temperature by 1 degree.
Hi BYD. Open the sunshade.
The blind is open.
Hi BYD. Play music by Mariah Carey.
I can't search in Spotify, please do it manually.
You also have the next and previous button for your tracks. This is for the volume, which is real convenient, and it's also textured. That's very nice. So this mode button here is particularly interesting. So if you press it, then the infotainment system will change. So if I press it right now, it will go into FM radio. Then press it again, it will go into all of the different music sources that we can select from. So local, Bluetooth, SD card, USB, it's all there. And then the last one is Spotify. And if I press again, it will go back to the FM radio. And let's go back to this button for a while. So if I press it, this menu will change. So if I use the scroll wheel, I can check my tire pressure. Then this is my total average consumption for the energy and whatnot, then we can go to all of these data that we can select from. So yeah, it's pretty convenient to have all of these things. Especially important is the tire pressure. So we can check if it's ideal or not. Either we need to refill it or not, and everything is just built in this little menu here. And for the left side of the steering wheel, all of these controls are mostly for your driving. So this button here is to go into panoramic view for the infotainment system, so we can see everything around us. And then this button here is to rotate the screen. So yeah, you can do that iconic rotation right with this button as well. And then we also have this one to engage cruise control. And now if I press that button, it will say ICA has been activated. This is cruise control. And the way it works is, I didn't get to test it much, but it's quite aggressive and I totally have no control over the steering wheel if there's a lane on the street, as in, you know, those lane lines. Oh, this exposure. Yeah, those lane lines, if it's there, then I really can't move the steering wheel at all. It just kind of takes control of its own. And then for all of these other buttons here, this is to, yeah, ACC. I'm not sure what ACC is. I think it's for the automatic distance detection or something like that. Again, this is one of the features that I didn't get to test it because my time is very limited with the car. And then this two is to select the distance. So as you can see in this mode here, the what's it called again? The ACC. Then if I press this button here to move closer, this is to move further away. You can see the white bar there will decrease or increase in its bar. So I think that's to set the limit of the distance you want to be between the cars in front of you. And now let's just go freehand and talk about the storage compartment available on this car here. So firstly, we have this compartment, which is quite deep. However, I don't suggest you to put anything thick here or any phone, for example, because it's quite an obvious place to put your phone. Because when you do this, yeah, it kind of takes up some space. And if anything is there, it might get pinched and damage the screen or your whatever item that is placed here. So I suggest you to stay clear of this. And yeah. Then secondly, we have this compartment at the bottom here. Now this compartment is rather interesting. So if we're driving at night, then they will have a light above here that shines down so you can see whatever you're looking for. And then here we have this basic port here. If you have a car charger that you want to put in, you can put in here as well, as in your car phone charger, not your car charger as in EV charger. You get the idea. And then there's a USB Type-C port here and micro SD card slot, and then another USB Type-A port. These two ports are identical to the one at the back for your passengers, so that's good. Then we have two cup holders here, and yeah, they're pretty basic, I would say. So right after the cup holder, we have these three dials here, which honestly speaking, I never actually touched any of them because the first one here is the automatic vehicle hold switch, which is useful if you are in a traffic jam at a slope to prevent the car from rolling backwards. This is the option that you want to enable. It will automatically hold the position for you, and it kind of acts like a handbrake, but not really a handbrake. I mean, coming from boomer terms, that's what I equate it to. And this one is the real handbrake. If you pull it up, then you will engage the handbrake. It is called the EPB here, which once again, I never pull it because it already automatically engages the handbrake for me when I enter parking mode. And then it also automatically disengages the handbrake when I enter driving mode. So that's that. For this one though, this is the traction control, which honestly, I also never touch it because I just leave it in default and it's already very, very good. And I want some of that ADAS feature as well. And finally, we have the Qi wireless charging pad here, which is actually quite nice and deep. And you know, thick phones like mine, the Galaxy Z Fold 5 with this thick ass case, if I fit it in, it will still charge. Yeah. Now, one sad thing about this setup though is that the storage compartment is quite restrictive. So the access is through this side or from the other side, the passenger side, and it is quite restrictive to get access into this compartment here, and it's also not that big. So if you want to fit in bigger items, for example, then unfortunately you cannot fit it in. Number one, you have to kind of like, go in sideways, which means it will dig into your seating area. And then number two, just bigger items will not fit inside. I will still prefer having a glove box that can be opened this way, so you can get direct access from the top all the way to the bottom. That would be better than this kind of design, I would think. And since we're talking about storage, let's also talk about the car boot space. I don't have the exact liter measurement of how big this car boot is, but I can tell you that it is very, very deep. And this piece of thing here, you can technically move it one tier up, so you don't have that weird depth level that it originally has. But you can technically makeshift it to become 2 tiers or a single tier. It's very big and I can fit in a lot of stuff. And since we're in the car boot here, we also have a bag of accessories provided by BYD themselves. And in this bag here, we have this piece of accessory that converts your car into a literal power bank. So you can plug in a total of 3 more things, more like appliances to your car, and you can power those appliances from the car itself, which is also handy in some ways. For example, if you want to go camping with this car, you can do that. And then we also have another car charger. So this is a very basic slow car charger that you just plug into the wall of your home's electrical plugs, and you can charge your car very slowly. Many EVs also have something called a Frunk, which is just a front trunk boot space, something like that. Unfortunately, the BYD Dolphin does not have it, so you will have to purchase your own separate Frunk space edition thing that you just put on top of all of these components here, and it is rather pricey, I would say, but the amount of storage that you get from this piece of accessory seems to be very tiny, so if you want it, you can get it. Okay, I have to tell you some not so good news. This car is loaned to us by BYD Malaysia, and since I don't own it, I don't have access to the BYD smartphone app. There are quite a lot of features that can be done or actually monitored through the app itself, but unfortunately I can't show you in this video. So I also cannot test the NFC card, which seems to be included with your purchase of the BYD Dolphin. And this NFC card is technically a key card that you tap on the side mirror to unlock the car doors. And that's about it. That's all of the features that I want to highlight with the BYD Dolphin, or at least that's all of the features that I can think of to talk about in this video. Personally, I do like this car a lot because it adds a lot of actually good features into my daily driving life, and it also makes driving a lot safer. It really does improve the quality of life. If you do like this video, then do hit that like button and also remember to subscribe. Hopefully we can do more of these types of videos and talk about the software in the cars in the future, whether it's an EV, an ICE car or whatnot. Yeah, they're all gonna be controlled by software in the very near future. Actually, it's really happening now. So yeah, do let me know your thoughts about this car, the BYD Dolphin in particular, and also its software. And if you have any other questions, do leave them down in the comment section below. I will try to answer them if I can. And yeah, this is also our first time doing a video like this. So let me know your thoughts about this video, this kind of format of video in the comment section as well. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.